that said, we now dock in Santa Cruz Island and go straight to Montemar Eco Luxury Villas, where their founder, Reina Oleas, is actually there in Galapagos, and will tell us what Galapagos taught them. Rosario is also here and will help Reina there. Welcome, Reina.
Thank you, Marcelo. I wanna thank you guys for the space and to share what we've learned from Galapagos. And Montemar Luxury Villas are based on Santa Cruz, and basically it's going to be your base, and from there you're going to explore the rest of Galapagos, either by boat or by any other means that we have designed in order to have our clients explore and see all the incredible richness of Galapagos. But one of the things that I wanted to learn to share with you today is the learnings of living on these incredible islands. And I'm going to start, and I'm going to take you, like I did more than 26 years ago, to a place, an isolated place in the big island of Isabela. And usually for the people that haven't been on the Galapagos and have not been yet, one of the most iconic species is the giant tortoise. And giant tortoises are usually, you visit them, you go to a place for a couple of hours, and you be able to see them and to take pictures, and so it's a great opportunity to see this iconic island.
And this is where everything started many years ago. Yes. For Roberto and for myself, we both come from the biology field, and it was like the dream come true, being able to own a property with these guys that you see behind, living with us 24/7. So this was an inspiration, and I'm just going to be silent for a second because I want you to enjoy their breath, which is something that will for sure take you to a different place. This is one of the biggest size of tortoises. Their carapace can keep growing, and the ones that you see behind me, for sure, were here before I was born, and I'm sure they will be after I'm gone also. So that sense of transcendence for me is so meaningful, and being able to spend with them and enjoy their presence and do not rush, maybe a life-changing experience. So I brought you gently to the coffee plantation. That it's the result of exploring our possibilities to finance the rehabilitation of the farm for giant tortoises, because it was so expensive that we couldn't afford it. So in those years, Galapagos coffee started to become famous, and we decided to start a coffee plantation that it's Montemar coffee. Organic, biodynamic, lots of stories behind it, but this is the coffee that we drink every morning, and that finances the rehabilitation of the rest of the farm. I'm going to share with you after a couple of stories, but we learned with Roberto and the family and became farmers. 15 years ago, we weren't. Our nails and our hands were soft and clean, and we didn't know anything about the soil and about growing stuff. Now, there's lots of things to share. And after falling in love with the giant tortoises and finding a path to finance the rehabilitation of the property for giant tortoises, the next step was thinking about livelihood, how we can build infrastructure without having an impact on this incredible place. Lots of inventions happen, lots of mistakes happen in the meanwhile. We learned a lot from solar energy, from water harvesting. We learned a lot from building, construction, engineering. And one of those things was building with local materials to have the lowest environmental footprint. If you see this lava that I have here, and you see the color behind me, this is one of the stories that made this place for us so special, because it was born from here, and when we finish, it will come back to the earth again.
now a bit of Montemar and the property where Montemar is located. And now what I was going to share with you is actually how everything started. That it was like more than 26 years ago, the moment that I was able to live with giant tortoises without rushing for more than 2 days. And this for sure changed my life in a great way, and it was an inspiration. And that's how many years later, when Roberto and I were looking for a property to call home, we came with a guy that was showing us the place, and we went to the highest point of Montemar, and we saw this incredible view of the ocean and the rest of the islands and Tortuga Bay, and it was amazing by itself. But then we kept walking, and suddenly there was this pond with giant tortoises that was in the middle of an old abandoned field of elephant grass. So in that moment, we looked at each other and said, yeah, this is the place that we want to call home. And we committed to rehabilitate the rest of the farm for giant tortoises. So that's how everything started. And today I wanna share with you like three of the lessons that I've learned. And the first one has to deal with Darwin. And you know that Darwin had played an important role in making Galapagos famous because of its theory of evolution and everything that entitles. And everybody has learned about how mutation is really important in this process. And but one of the sayings that Darwin said that for me was really interesting is that it's not the strongest species, the one that will survive, but the one that is able to adapt and be more flexible to adapt to changes. And for me, that struck me and has been with me all the time. And it has happened every time that we face a challenge, because living in an isolated, tiny little place in the middle of the Pacific, it's a challenge. And so when we started with this dream project, we decided that we were going to be solar. And because unfortunately, still now, most of the energy that's consumed on the Galapagos is produced by burning diesel fuels that are coming on a boat from thousands of miles away from here. So we wanted to make a statement about the importance of thinking in a different way, especially in such a special place for the world and for nature like Galapagos. So we committed to be solar, but that picture that you see over there is a picture from a drone, and you can see the solar panels on top of each villa. But when we started, we decided we didn't know anything about electricity. So we decided to hire a small company that will give us the service of installation and maintenance of the systems. Well, having said that, we started with a little tiny house 15 years ago, and the system that we hired didn't work, and it lasted 24 hours. And after that, we lived without electricity for a year. And that's when we realized that we couldn't depend on anybody else, but actually we had to learn by ourselves. So Roberto stepped up, and with Google and lots of good friends, we learned a lot about solar energy. So we dimensions installed, and now we give maintenance to the solar system. But we couldn't have done that without that wise saying of Darwin that said that it's not the strongest, but the most flexible and being able to adapt to change. So like this, lots of challenges took place, but there's another important lesson that we learned in this path. And the second has to do with those cactus that you see on your screen. Those are lava cactus. When you see them in Galapagos, it's really amazing to think how they are able to live with almost no organic material. I mean, like you see lava flows that are empty of life, and suddenly you see this lava cactus. The same happens that when you see Palo Santo in the middle of a lava flow, where you can hardly understand how life can start from nowhere. And be able to face all these challenges of living with no organic material, with almost not a lot of water. So, and that's the thrive of life when you see, and the thrive of nature that starts life almost from anything. And if you translate that willingness of life to live to all the terms that we use in the academic world now, and it will be like really having the lowest environmental footprint, because they get everything from as close as they can get, and they are really efficient and effective using the local materials to survive. And this was also an inspiration for our project for Montemar. So when we start taking this lesson to what Montemar is, we start discussing about what we can use for building the villas. And those villas, the picture that you're seeing on the screen now, the black wall that you see on the back, that's an invention, a paint that was an invention from the project. That's basically lava mixed with emulsifiers and resins that hasn't needed painting since then, and it's been only once. And the two big walls that you see there, it's also lava. So we ended up, after a great research and development process of 4 years, we ended up getting married with 4 materials. We built 70% of the villas with lava, with bamboo, and with the Spanish cedar. Then basically to reduce the environmental footprint, but also to reduce the imports to Galapagos, because every time there's a boat or an airplane coming with things for humans, there's a higher risk of introducing an invasive species, which is one of the most important threats to Galapagos. So building locally goes beyond having a low environmental footprint, but it's a commitment with conservation directly. So in the picture that you're seeing, there is the bamboo. We bought the bamboo standing up 2 kilometers away from the place where Montemar is located, and we treated the bamboo by ourselves again with the use of technology. We downloaded a manual from Colombia of how to cut, treat, and use bamboo for building. And this is the first place that where bamboo has been, one of the first places where bamboo has been used as structure. So that those bamboos, once they were treated and dried, they are the beautiful support of our roofs that look really sophisticated, but they are really going back to nature. And so yeah, going back to the third lesson, I will say that the third lesson is related with all these concepts that we hear now that we should in the academic and in politics. I mean, like that, how important it's to take care of nature, and that we should take care of the earth to ensure our survival. But I will say the same concept in a different way. I will say that the earth and nature has been here many, many years ago before humans were here. And I am sure nature and the earth is going to be there still many, many years after we are gone. So it is not that we need to take care of it. It's actually for our survival. I mean, like, it is nature actually that takes care of us. And once we take care of nature and we try to give, to return the benefits that we receive, nature will thrive and will give us lots of greatness. And so in Montemar, we have felt that we've got lots of the food that we use for the operation. Most of it's coming from nearby areas or from our garden. You can see there our eggs and organic and biodynamic veggies which our clients can go and help us get before our chef will prepare these incredible meals. So it's nature thriving if we allow it to do. And in this path, there was this interesting fact that happened to us, because when we were growing coffee, we have our coffee plantation has more or less 4 hectares. And there was this incredible pest that attacked most of the coffee plantations on the islands, and it's called the rust. And the rust actually spreads on the leaf. It's a fungus that spreads on the leaf. And once it's spread, you cannot, the leaf will not be able to do photosynthesis and the plant will die. So actually, our coffee plantation seems that it wasn't as affected as the rest of the plantation. So the Ministry of Agriculture came and told us that, I mean, like, there's something that's happening here that's not happening in the rest of the plantations, because our plantation was not affected by rust. So we brought a microbiologist, and after a couple of days of exploration, he told us that the reason why we were not affected is basically because we had the predator and another fungus that was predating on this pest that's called the verticillium. And the reason why the verticillium was living in our farm and it wasn't appearing in others is basically because we haven't used chemicals or any toxic ingredient in the last year. So we allowed nature and microorganisms to thrive, the microorganisms that live in the soil and the air. So we allowed this verticillium to appear, and this verticillium was a natural pest control for the rust. And like those, we see all these examples 24/7, the importance of connection and with nature and between each other. So that's like, those are like the three lessons that three of the most important lessons that we have learned in this process of building. And this is who we are and how we have born from experience and learning and what we want to bring to our guests. We are the base to explore Galapagos. We don't this is instead of so you're going to be based on Montemar villas, and then we're going to take you explore penguins and frigate birds and blue-footed boobies and all the things that need to be done, but this is going to be your home. And we want to share with you the joy and happiness of connection in Galapagos, and the connection with nature, the connection with each other, using Montemar as a base.
That's great, Reina. Great presentation. Thank you very much. I have a quick comment and question. We recently had a remote seats with the topic that how sustainability and responsible tourism help bring clients besides all the good effects they produce. But in your point of view, how do you think especially the environmental actions that you have, how do you think it helps bringing clients? And once the clients are there, how do you think these actions impact the clients and to spread the word?
I believe in experiential learning. I am an experiential learner. So I think that once you experience things and you feel them and you're under your skin, and it's a different scenario. So you can talk a lot about things, but once you feel them and you experience, they become part of who you are. And I do believe that that's more or less what happens with our clients. Of course, the awareness and the commitment that we have put in our operation, it's not because of a marketing reason. It's because it really reflects who we are and what we believe. And it's not about preaching at all. It's actually about sharing what we love. And our clients have left Montemar with a sense of inspiration. That's what they tell us. And inspiration of exploring not only better ways of connecting with nature, but also of following your dreams and making sure that you explore sometimes things that you think are not important, but following your path and finding it. It's one of the comments that we always get from our clients, and it's like the inspiration to think about what's the difference that we can make in our relationship with the world and with our communities, but also exploring the path to follow the dreams of each other.
Thanks.
It was great. Reina, thank you. For me, it was very inspirational. It's very nice to see how you use local resources and how you live in harmony with the environment, with the animals. Your relationship with this, it looks very true and very authentic. So it feels like if you visit Montemar, you are visiting a friend's house, a friend's farm. So thank you very much. Well,
you're welcome.